Who the heck is TFAKers and why should I read this book? People are shocked at the beginning of my seminars when one of the first things I tell them is, don't believe a word I say. Why would I suggest that? Because I can only speak from my own experience. None of the concepts and insights I share are inherently true or false, right or wrong. They simply reflect my own results and the amazing results I've seen in the life of thousands and thousands of my students. Having said that, however, I believe that if you use the principles you learn in this book, you will totally transform your life. Don't just read this book, study it as if your life depended on it. Then try the principle out for yourself. Whatever it works, keep doing. Whatever doesn't, you will come to throw away. I know I may be biased, but when it comes to money, this may be the most important book you have ever read. I understand that's a bold statement, but the fact is, this book provides the missing link between your desire for success and your achievement of success. As you probably found out by now, those are two different words. No doubt you have read other books, listened to tapes or CDs, gone to courses, and learned about numerous get-rich systems, be they in real estate, stock, or business. But what happens? For most people, not much. They get a short blast of energy, and then it's back to the status quo. Finally, there's an answer. It's simple. It's slow, and you're not going to succumb when it all comes down to this. If your subconscious financial blueprint is not set for success, nothing you learn, nothing you know, and nothing you do will make much of a difference. In the pages of this book, we will demystify for you why some people are destined to be rich and others are destined for a life of struggle. You will understand the root causes of success, mediocrity, or financial failure, and begin changing your financial future for the better. You will understand how childhood influences shape our financial blueprints and how these influences can lead to self-defeating thoughts and habits. You will experience powerful declarations that will help you replace your non-sportive ways of thinking with mentors will fast so that you think and succeed just as rich people do. You will also learn practical, step-by-step strategies for increasing your income and building wealth. In part 1 of this book, we will explain how each of us is conditioned to think and act when it comes to money, and outline for key strategy for revising our mental money blueprint. In part 2, we examine the differences between how rich, middle class, and poor people think, and provide 17 attitudes and actions to take that will lead to permanent changes in your financial life. Throughout the book, we also share a few examples of the thousands of letters and emails I have received from students who have attended the Millionaire Mind intensive seminars and achieved powerful results in their life. So what is my experience? Where I'm coming from? Was I always successful? I wish. Like many of you, I supposedly had a lot of potential, but had little to show for it. I read all the books, listened to all the tapes, and went to all the seminars. I really wanted to be successful. I don't know whether it was for the money, the freedoms, the sense of achievement, or just to prove I was good enough in my parents' eyes. But I was almost obsessed with becoming a success. During my 20s, I started several different businesses, each with the dream of making my fortune, but my result went from the small to worse. I worked my butt off, but kept coming up short. I had Loch Ness monster disease. I had heard of the things called profit. I just never saw any of it. I kept thinking, if I just get into the right business, get on the right horse, I make it. But I was wrong. Nothing was working, at least for me. And it was the last part of the sentence that finally struck me. How come others were succeeding in the exact same business I was in, and I was still broke? What happened to Mr. Potential? So I began doing some serious soul searching. I examined my true belief and saw that even though I said I really wanted to be rich, I had some deep-rooted worries about it. Mostly, I was afraid. Afraid that I might fail or worse, succeed, and then somehow lost it all. Then I'd really be a smirk. Worse, I would blow the one thing I had going for me. My story that I had all this potential. What if I found out I didn't have what it took and I was destined to a life of struggle? Then, as luck would have it, I got some advice from an extremely rich friend of my father's. He was at my parents' house playing cards with the boys and in passing noted me. This was the third time I moved back home and I was living in the lower level suite, otherwise known as the basement. I suppose my dad had complained to him of my woeful existence, because when he saw me, he had the sympathies in his eyes, usually reserved for the bereaved at a funeral. He said, "Hey, I started in the same way as you, a complete disaster." Great, I thought this was making me feel a lot better. I should let him know that I was busy, watching the paint peels off the wall. He kept going, but then I got some advice that changed my life, and I'd like to pass it on to you. Oh no, here comes to the father-son lectures, and he's not even my father. Finally, he came out with it. Hey, if you're not doing as well as you like, all that means is there's something you don't know. Being a brash young man at the time, I thought I knew pretty well everything. But alas, my bank account said something different. So I finally began to listen. He continued, "Did you know that most rich people think in very similar ways?" I said, "No, I never really considered that." To which he replied, "It's not an exact science, but for the most part, rich people think a certain way, and poor people think a completely different way. And those ways of thinking determine their actions, and therefore determine their result." He went on, "If you thought the way rich people do and did what rich people do you believe you could become rich too?" I remember answering with all the confidence of a mush ball. "I think so." Then he replied, "All you have to do is copy how rich people think." Being the skeptic I was at the time, I said, "So what are you thinking right now?" To which he replies, "I'm thinking that rich people keep their commitment and mine is to your date right now. The guy are waiting for me, see ya." Although he walked out, what he said sank in. Nothing else was working in my life. So I figured what the heck and threw myself wholeheartedly into studying rich people and how they think. I learned everything I could about the inner workings of the mind, but concentrated primarily on the psychology of money and success. I discovered that it was true. Rich people really do things differently from poor and even middle-class people. Eventually, I became aware of how my own thoughts were holding me back from wealth. More important, I learned several powerful techniques and strategies to actually recondition my mind so that I would think in the same way rich people do. Finally, I said, enough joking about it, let's put it to the test. I decided to attempt yet another business because I was really into health and exercise. I opened one of the first retail fitness stores in North America. I didn't have any money, so I had to borrow $2,000 on my Visa card to get the business started. I began using what I learned by modeling rich people, both in terms of their business strategy and their thinking strategies. The first things I did was commit to my success and play to win. I swore I would focus and not even consider leaving this business until I was a millionaire or more. This was radically different from my previous effort, where because I always thought short term. I would constantly get sidetracked by the good opportunity or when things got tough. I also began challenging my mental approach whenever I began thinking in financially negative or counterproductive ways. In the past, I believed that what my mind said was true. I learned that in many ways, my mind was my biggest obstacle to success. I chose not to entertain thoughts that did not empower me toward my vision of wealth. I used every one of the principles you are going to learn in this book. Did it work? Boy, did it work. The business was so successful that I opened 10 stores in only 2.5 years. I then sold half the company's share to a Fortune 500 company for $1.6 million. After that, I moved to sunny San Diego. I took a couple of years off to refine my strategy and began doing one-on-one business consulting. I presume it was quite effective for people because they kept bringing friends, partners, and associates to our session. Soon, I was coaching 10 and sometimes 20 people at a time. One of my clients suggested that I might as well open up a school. I thought that was a great idea, so I did. I founded the Street Smart Business School and taught thousands of people all across North America. Street Smart Business Strategy for High-Speed Success.